significant science-backed solution in the wellness space. Let me introduce to you Dr. Tyler LeBaron. He has a background in biochemistry, physiology, and exercise science. He interned in Nagoya University, Japan, in the Department of Neurogenetics to research the molecular mechanisms of hydrogen gas on cell signaling pathways. And he did that 16 years ago. And what he learned and experienced was so compelling to him that he decided to start an educational institute, complete nonprofit, of which he is the executive director of Molecular Hydrogen Institute. So Dr. Tyler is a director of the International Hydrogen Standards Association and the International Molecular Hydrogen Association. He speaks at medical conferences across the United States and in academic biomedical hydrogen symposiums and conferences around the world. He is also quite the athlete. When he's not busy talking about hydrogen and hydrogen water, he's training as a runner and as a competitive arm wrestler. What are the benefits of hydrogen water?
I think we want to first clarify when we say hydrogen water, what are we talking about? Doesn't water already have hydrogen in it, right? We remember that water is H2O. We are talking about hydrogen gas. When the two hydrogen atoms are bound to each other, that makes a hydrogen molecule or molecular hydrogen. And this is dissolved in the water, or you can even inhale it and so on. When that water gets into the stomach, those hydrogen gas molecules rapidly permeate and diffuse into the body. And it goes into the cells. And when it goes into the cells, it's able to neutralize free radicals, an excessive amount of toxic free radicals. It's able to modulate our inflammatory response so we don't have this low-grade high excessive inflammation. It's able to provide benefits to our mitochondria so that we can have increased energy, cellular energy, which we'll talk about the importance of that. So those are some of the biggest things. We're talking about its ability to provide antioxidant effects, anti-inflammatory effects, and mitochondrial support.
It's all the buzz right now, but there's something that makes Nueva Nitro very singular, very unique in all the world. Nitric oxide is naturally occurring in the body. I know that's always a question. Are there any side effects? Well, no, because your body produces it. Your body recognizes it. It's a vasodilator, right? So it will loosen and expand the vessels. When that happens, what are some of the benefits?
More blood flow, right, to your muscles, to when you exercise, to your brain, so you can think. Nitric oxide is also important for the immune system. So your body produces it, and as you get older, you start producing less and less. And not only that, as you get older and your body starts producing in the wrong compartments, it causes problems. Nitric oxide is a free radical, so it can cause oxidative stress. But when we combine that with molecular hydrogen, we're able to get all the benefits of nitric oxide without the harmful effects. This chart here is just showing an increase in nitric oxide. So the y-axis shows the fractional exhaled nitric oxide. So you actually measure it from your breath. There's an FDA-approved machine that actually is there to measure nitric oxide. You can use it to diagnose asthma. You use it for a whole bunch of stuff. It's very well validated. And after taking this product, this combination, you can see there's a baseline, and then 45 minutes later, there's essentially 100% increase in nitric oxide levels. So indeed, this is able to increase that nitric oxide levels and subsequently have those effects.
You'll notice something within 45 minutes. It will peak at 4 hours, and then you still have some residual benefit for up to 20 hours.
First, we see the increased nitric oxide levels, and then secondly, we see an actual increase in the blood flow to the muscles. And then as you increase blood flow to your extremities, well, blood is warm. We go from 96.8 and up to 99.2 degrees Fahrenheit. So it really is showing this increased blood flow. So again, these are all showing increased nitric oxide levels. Then we show increased blood flow and logically increase in the actual temperature of the hand.
The benefits are so vast and broad spectrum, and yet it is subtle.
It's not like a stimulant, where it's just like pure caffeine, which is a adenosine antagonist, is going to just hype you up and activate epinephrine, norepinephrine levels. This is totally different. This is just getting your body to work properly, getting to go back to homeostasis so that you can have the cognition and the ability to muscular movement and things that you otherwise should have. And then we're seeing sustained benefits for a long duration of time, and it's being referenced here. And we're seeing the same thing with the brain oxyhemoglobin concentration. You can measure this with fMRI, and you can actually literally see the changes in the blood flow by measuring oxyhemoglobin. So this is all this graph is showing.
We're talking with this product about energy at the cellular level. Why is cellular energy critical, especially to peak performance these days where we are so distracted and so fragmented with so many hats to wear?
Typically, when we talk about cellular energy, we're talking about the energy currency of the cell, which is ATP or adenosine triphosphate. And you're right, we need a lot of that. And the mitochondria produce most of the ATP, like 90% of the ATP. And the mitochondria is crucial to making the ATP. But if you have dysfunctional or impaired mitochondria because you're getting older, because of the environmental toxins and all the things that are going on and so on, then your mitochondria are going to be impaired, and that's going to require it to use glycolysis to make ATP. It's a slower process. You're just going to be less efficient and so on, and that's going to make it harder to have energy to do your normal functions of life. But even your cells are not going to have the energy to really give the cellular function that's needed, because their cells are doing so many things. They're constantly building and remolding and changing things and doing DNA repair and on all the time. And so if you don't have enough energy to like get up and clean the house and do things, you're like, I just feel tired. Well, how do you think your cells feel? And they need to have this energy, right? And molecular hydrogen has been shown to really help rejuvenate and activate the mitochondria and cause this regeneration. And so this is a really neat thing that can happen. And then when we combine this with the nitric oxide, we're actually getting the blood flow to the cells, in with the good, out with the bad. And now we can start seeing some of these clinical benefits, but it starts all at the cellular level. If your cells are working better, then your neurons, right? Your neuronal cells are. So therefore, you should see phenotypic benefits. In other words, you should actually see clinical benefits, which is what we're seeing right here, basically showing improvements in your motor cortex functioning. So like in this case, you're seeing changes on the y-axis on the oxyhemoglobin concentration. So you're getting more blood flow to the brain. And then this other graph is just showing with this finger tap. This is like your motor cortex functioning and being able to control those alpha motor neurons, having higher executive function of the brain. Actually, if you take it every day, it seems that you start getting more and more benefits. The cells are able to respond better and better and better, and you start getting a cumulative benefit. And then this last session 4, in this entire area, I mean, the square is the targeted region because you're doing executive function thinking right there, and so you're able to map in right there, homing in on that. But this entire area, the whole brain, has a higher voltage. So it's very, very interesting. It's just a very good indicator that what we want to happen is happening. This chart, right, looking at accuracy, focus, time perception, fatigue, TOJ, which is the temporal order of judgment. And then after taking the product, you can see all these improvements increased. Even the speed increased, but accuracy was maintained. That's a big deal. Of course, for athletes, we know we have to have that oxygenation and blood flow to the muscles. It was about a 6.6% increase, as well as the functional threshold power, 6.5% increase. Then they looked at the maximal oxygen uptake. You see about a 5.5% increase. In other words, when you're exercising at your max level, well, if you have better blood flow to your muscles, then your muscles there's two things that are going on. One, you have more blood flow to your muscles so that the oxygen is now made available to the working muscles, and that you've improved your mitochondrial function so that your mitochondria can actually extract the oxygen from the blood and use it, delivering more oxygen to the muscles because you have blood flow, and you're extracting more oxygen because you have improved mitochondrial function. You're going to have a greater oxygen deficit or use more oxygen, and therefore it shows your VO2 max, or in other words, your maximal volume of oxygen consumption that you can use during maximal exercise increases, and that's that's what this is showing. So it's a pretty impressive result, actually. Like nitric oxide, literally every cell produces nitric oxide, and hydrogen can benefit all these cells. So it is a kind of whole body system. But some of the things that get damaged the fastest is like our gut, our brain. That's what we really need to protect. And this is a great way to do it with the combinations of nitric oxide and